Hi, we're still on our cookie spree for the holidays. And this cookie is called Oatmeal and Toffee Cookie. And I discovered this maybe 5 years ago. A wonderful cookbook of Tide and Time. And that is from my wonderful daughter-in-law Phil and my son Craig as a Christmas gift, because they know I love regional fundraiser cookbooks. And the interesting thing about this book is, this recipe is that I can use my almond buttercrunch in it. But if you don't make my almond buttercrunch, don't worry, you can use the Heath pieces, which is very similar, and they're found in the counter with chocolate bits and things like that. I'm going to read you what's in the recipe. It's 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar, 3/4 of a cup of butter, and I'm using unsalted, 1/2 cup of sugar, 1 egg, 1 teaspoon vanilla, 1½ cups of old-fashioned oatmeal. And old-fashioned oatmeal, the other name would be maybe 5-minute oatmeal. It's not the quick. It's not the instant, and it's not the quick. But you can buy it in a carton. Quaker makes it, I know, and they call it old-fashioned. I buy it in a nut store that sells other things, but it's definitely the 5-minute. You can see it's much coarser than the oatmeal that would cook in a minute, and that's the one you want. 1 cup of flour, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, a dash of salt, 3/4 of a cup of chopped pecans, and 6 to 7 ounces of chopped chocolate-covered English toffee. Well, that's where I use my almond butter crunch. But again, as I said, you could use a Heath bar if you don't make that almond butter crunch. I measured one of my rounds from one of my recipes, and it was between 6 and 7 ounces. So let me show you what it looks like. This is what it looked like before I did anything to it. I put it in a baggie, a freezer baggie, like a storage baggie, but a freezer because it's a little thicker. I took a meat pounder, but you could take anything heavy. I would not take anything that has any sharp edges to it. I don't want it as fine as it would be in the processor because I don't want ground toffee. I just want chopped toffee. So that's what I did. I chopped that. Now I'm going to cream the butter, and I'm going to put the brown sugar in with it. Let's see. 3/4 of a cup of the brown sugar. I need 1/2 cup of regular sugar. One egg, and I'm a coward. I always break an egg into a cup. I've had enough times of having a little piece of shell in there that to me it's worth it to put it in and then put it where it's supposed to go. And 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I know there's debate. I never use the imitation vanilla. I just think it's worth it if I'm putting the time and the money in to use the real thing. So I do use real vanilla, but it's not inexpensive, that's for sure. There we go, and we're just going to let that go. Now I used another bowl. I do advise if you get a stand mixer that you treat yourself to buying an extra bowl, because there are many times when you're going to be mixing maybe egg whites and then egg yolks, and you want 2 bowls. It's well worth the investment. I stack one in the other, just separate it with a little paper towel so it won't stick, so that I nest them so that they're always there. But I think it's well worth it to have the extra bowl. And an extra paddle too. This is the regular paddle. You know, you use the wire whip if you're doing cream or beating egg whites, but this is the paddle that you use most. And as I said previously, I've treated myself to a paddle here that has little rubber edges and really wipes the bowl clean as it's doing it. So I have to scrape it much less often than I would have normally. And it says do it till it's fluffy. I'm going to let it go a little higher. And while I do that, I'm going to measure my flour. So I need a cup of flour. And again, just regular flour. I kind of fluff it up before I measure it. Do not usually sift it at all anymore. Don't have a sifter. I use a sieve if I need it. Here's my cup of flour. I'm going to have to use 2 of these 3/4 for my oats. Treat yourself to multiple cups too, and measuring spoons. Don't have just one set if you're going to cook, because you'll be forever washing, wiping, whatever. It's nice to have all different sizes. Just make sure they're good quality. I would highly recommend good quality tools every time. So I think that's nice and fluffy, and now it's going to tell us to add the oats. So I'm going to add, that's 1.5 cups, so I'm going to use two 3/4 measures. Put that in there. I'm going to put my cup of flour. And bring that up to do that. A little bit of baking soda, and that is, let's see, just 1/2 teaspoon. So I'm going to look down and that. Okay, and a dash of salt, I believe it said. Yes, just a dash of salt. So there's our dash of salt. And I'm going to mix that. And again, I've mentioned I do my mixer on and off because it keeps the flour from flying. It's an excellent when you're, if it's bad for the mixer, you can't judge by me because I had my other one 35 years and I did it for years, so I don't think it hurts it. Now I'm going to add the nuts, so I need 3/4 of a cup of nuts. And I use this chopper. I find the processor does it too fine for chopped nuts, so I just move it around. Put some and move it around. And the chopper actually moves as it's doing it. So I need 3/4 of a cup. So we'll see how I did in judging that. As I said before, I'm a great measurer, weigher, because I am not great by eye. I will think something's a certain thing and it's not. So I find how much trouble is it to measure it or weigh it to see that it's fine. You want a great finished product. I don't ever want to have to excuse it and say, well, if I'd done this, it would have been good. Or if I'd done that, oh, if I'd let it get cold, or if I had let it, do it right. You know, you're putting the time in. You want a good result. Why not put the time in and do it right? Good quality materials, equipment, good effort. There's the nuts. And now we'll put the toffee. Again, if you don't have my toffee, if you don't have my almond buttercrunch, just use the Heath Bar bits. And I think like 1 package would be what it calls for. I'm just going to put that in, and now again I'm going to do back and forth, but I'm going to lock my machine. There we go. Okay, we're all together. Just going to scrape this down. The only thing I've changed in this recipe is it originally calls for 1/4 cup for each cookie. I don't commit that much to any cookie. So that's like the cookie that you get in the mall that's a meal. So I don't. I do a tablespoon, and that makes a nice, big, good-sized cookie. And this cookie is wonderful with a glass of cold milk. It's just perfect. So I have parchment paper on a cookie sheet. I always use parchment paper. I find it so easy to put the dough on it. It does not stick. You know, sometimes when cookies come out of the oven, you can't move them right away. They're too soft, but then you wait a few minutes more and now they stick. Well, if you use parchment paper, I just find it's wonderful. I slide the whole thing off after it's done and the cookies come right up. I'm just going to put this down by tablespoons, and I'm not going to worry about, don't have to worry about it as long as they're close to what you're saying. It's a little, I'm doing like a heaping tablespoon, and I'm giving them enough room to spread, which they're going to do. So you don't want to put your cookies too close together. You want to give them enough room to spread, because they're going to start to spread before they firm up. So I'll finish doing this tray. We'll put them in the oven. Okay, I think it's 350, which I already have set. And it says it's going to take them about, well, it says 20 minutes, but that's for the 1/4 cup size. I don't have it marked here any different, but I know I'm going to have to keep an eye on it, which I will. So I'm going to put them in the oven now, and I'll see you in a bit. Hi, these are the toffee cookies out of the oven. As you can see, I let one kind of get close, so it's easy to separate them when they're still hot. And I'm going to slip the whole thing to a cooling rack. I'm going to take the parchment off, and you can see those cookies are plenty big enough. I certainly would not have wanted to do a quarter of a cup each. That was like a good heaping tablespoon. And I'm just going to put the whole thing on a cooling rack, and they'll just sit there, and in 10 minutes you can enjoy them. Thanks again for watching me. Don't forget to subscribe. My family loves it. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Have a wonderful day.